My mother rushed into my bedroom and grabbed me by the shoulders. "We're lost," she said. "Lost in the labyrinth." Her eyes darted around the room. "You need to find your way out. He's coming." A thudding sound echoed down the hall, faint, somewhere else in the house. "Are we playing a game?" I asked. My mother smiled. "No," she said. "You're really lost." She stroked my cheek with the back of her hand. The thudding grew louder. "Take this," my mother said. She handed me a small pendulum on a chain. "Use it to find your way out." I could barely hear her over the thudding. My bookshelf shook, and the glass in my windows rattled. She kissed me on the forehead and ran out of my room. There was a roar, and then the thudding became fainter. That was the last time I saw my mother. The thudding follows me, even when I'm outside, with nothing around me. Something moves behind walls I can't see, always trying to get closer. When it's near, the ground vibrates. I take out my mother's pendulum. I hold my eyes on the small brass object and let it swing. Whatever direction the pendulum goes, I follow. That's how you find a safe way out. When I know I've gone too far into the labyrinth. I've tried following it for hours, days, weeks, but I've never found my way out. I'm not sure one exists. One time, a foster family I stayed with was taking me and their real kids on a trip to Disney World. I was excited to go. We all were. But at O'Hare, the TSA agent told me I couldn't bring my pendulum on the plane. Said it looked like a weapon. I told him what it was and that I needed it. My foster father and mother stood up for me at first. Said I should be able to take it. How's it any different than a woman wearing a locket around her neck? It's just a small piece of metal on a chain. But the TSA agent was insistent. I clutched the pendulum, refused to let it go. I cried. My foster brother laughed at me. His sister looked at me with pity. Their parents went from sympathetic to upset, told me to drop it, throw it away. But I refused. We missed our flight. We didn't go to Disney World. A few weeks later, I was with a different family. It doesn't matter if I'm alone or in a crowded place. I'm always in the labyrinth. I was at an art museum one time. In the Impressionism wing, it's always crowded because it's got so many famous works. Monet, Van Gogh, Seurat. The thudding came. The frames holding the painting shook. Everyone had been talking to each other and then they stopped. They all stared at me silently. Their bodies remained rigid. He must have been close. I shouldn't have let him get that close. But I got distracted by the paintings. I took out the pendulum and followed the path it made through the crowd of people. It was hard to move around them. They wouldn't get out of my way. I made the mistake of looking one man in the eyes. They were blue. First a darker, fuller shade of blue. But they grew pale as I looked at him. Until they were all white. Horns pierced through the skin on his forehead and twisted out. He reached to me and the thudding was so bad paintings fell off the walls. So I ran. I didn't even look at where the pendulum said to go. And that was stupid. That's what he wanted. 'Cause now, I'm here. In deep and lost. When I hold the pendulum now, it only moves a little. I can't tell which direction I'm supposed to go. Merchandise Mart is where he lives. Holds his court. It's a castle, and it's where all the trains meet. They all make a thudding sound like he does. Makes the world vibrate. People go into his castle and come out all day and evening. They're all in league with him, and I hate them. I stood by the bridge and watched them come and go one day. I wanted to know who they were. That's when I saw her go in. My old foster sister, whose Disney World trip I ruined. She didn't see me. I waited outside his castle for her to come back out. When she left, she got on the brown line going north. I don't like riding on the L. It belongs to him. But I had to follow her, so I got on too. She got off at Rockwell and walked south to a brownstone building. I followed her. She could tell she was being followed because her pace got quicker and she took her keys to the gate out in a hurry. While she tried to open the gate, I walked up to her and she looked at me. "Oh my God," she said. "Jason, is that you? I haven't seen you since..." She stopped. "I'm so sorry Mom and Dad didn't keep you. That was wrong." She invited me in to catch up. When I asked her about him, she pretended not to know what I was talking about. I got angry and loud. He heard me, realized where I was and who I was with. The thudding rushed towards us. I strangled her with the pendulum chain. While her body lied on the floor, the thudding got louder. I tried to use the pendulum to find a safe way through the labyrinth to get away, but it wouldn't swing. A door down the hall opened and a small girl came out. "Why were you yelling?" she asked. "What happened to my mom?" The thudding was outside the door. Framed photos shook on the walls. I gave the girl my pendulum. "It doesn't work for me anymore," I said. "Maybe it will for you. You gotta run. A monster's coming for me. I'll try to get it away from you." I ran. The thudding followed. It still does. I don't think I'll ever get out of the labyrinth.